Hi all, we are currently in the and we are in Brisbane, and we are going back into New South Wales in Australia, and we are going into Sydney Central. So today we are taking the XPT back home to Sydney, and so we'll see how it is. So the XPT services start at 5:55 p.m. a.m. And it starts from platform 3. It takes 14.5 hours into Sydney. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the trip with the XPT, and we'll see how it is. So in Brisbane, the long distance services are run from Roma Street. So we are going in onto platform number 3, and we'll see how it goes. So we are approaching platform number 3, and we can hear our XPT. So let's have a look at how it is and which one do we have. This is our XPT today. So this is the car seat along car seat on the XPT. It's also first class. And we had the buffet car here. Then car D is economy. And we have this car here, which is also economy here, and we are approaching the rear end of the XPT, or the front end in this case. The XPT service starts from Brisbane at around 5 minutes to 6 in the morning, and it calls all stations at Coffs, Casino, Grafton, Coffs Harbour, Refueling, Urunga, Nambucca Heights, Maxwell, Kempsey, Wauchope, Kendall, Tari, Wingham, Gloucester, Dungog, Maitland, Broadmeadow, Pacific, Wyong, Gosford, Hornsby, Sackfield, and Centre. So from Pacific, it's all set down stations. That means you cannot enter the train.
in approximately 20 minutes time it will reopen at Kyogle, our first setting down station in New South Wales. If you would like to purchase any item from the buffet, tea, coffee, hot chocolate or our breakfast menu, please make your way to car C. We also have pies, sausage rolls, some vegetable pasties available. Once again, the buffet car will be closing for service in 20 minutes time. It will reopen at our first setting down station, Kyogle, in New South Wales. Thank you.
This is the breakfast for me today. So I just got a toasty, that's the bacon and egg, and we also have one yogurt as well for me. The meal on board is considerably cheaper. So this is for the toasty is for $9 and this is for $4.50. So it's very good in my opinion.
We do hope that we will have made up by Grafton station, which is our third station. Our first sitting down station will be Kyogle at approximately 8:10. This will be followed by Casino at approximately 8:30 a.m. We will shortly turn out the lights. We understand that many of you have been up quite early to get to the train, so we will turn the overhead lights off if you'd like to enjoy the peace and quiet and have a nap before the rest of the customers start joining. Make yourself comfortable. Toilets are located in each carriage. There is a special needs toilet located in car C. Garbage bins and bubblers are located near exit doors. If you are using any audio visual devices, please be sure you are wearing headphones. We remind all customers that due to government regulations, it is illegal to smoke or vape on board our trains or station platforms, or to consume your own alcohol aboard our trains. If you are fortunate enough throughout your journey to not have somebody sit next to you, you wish to stretch your legs, please take your shoes off before you put your feet up. If you need assistance, please don't hesitate to ask. So once again, the overhead lights will be turned off in approximately 10 minutes. To advise, we are running approximately 5 to 10 minutes behind schedule. Our first sitting down station will be Kyogle as required at approximately 8:10, followed by Casino at approximately 8:30. Thank you.
Train here just left Grafton station, and in Grafton station we had two major changes to the train. First of all, the train was refueled in Grafton, followed by a crew change at Grafton. So the train made three stops. So the first part of the train was the leading engine of the XPT was refueled first, and then we had a back part which refueled, and then the third stop was onto the station at Grafton, and that was like for the crew change. What happened was a crew got on the train from Sydney, and they changed in Grafton, and then from Grafton a new crew boarded, and they went all the way to Brisbane and back, and they changed here in Grafton. So Because of the odd time of the train, I was asleep on and off, so I could not record much of the stations there. My apologies for it, guys. Shortly after we passed Grafton, accidentally dozed sleep, and by the next time I woke up, Coffs Harbour. Coffs Harbour is like 540 kilometers to Sydney, and it's a town where the local economy used to rely on banana harvesting, and but in the recent days it has been overtaken by blueberries, tourism, and fishing, and it's the only place in the New South Wales where the Great Dividing Range meets the Pacific Ocean. I would really like to visit Coffs Harbour for a day or so in the future. If I was to come into Coffs Harbour, I will definitely go and check out the big banana here in Coffs Harbour, which is like like the many big things in Australia, and it's a banana tourist plant. I think I have seen of the big banana for a very long time. I would really like to come and check it out one day. After the train left Coffs Harbour, the next station was Satville. Satville is a beautiful beachside village, and it can offer you everything. So it's in the north coast of New South Wales in Australia. It has beautiful beaches, creeks, mountains, and it's located almost between Sydney and Brisbane. So the train is at the halfway mark here. Because the station here was a short platform, the train had to stop at the just before the station was entering. So only a few of the cars had the gates which access the platform. So the platform was a bit hard to see unless after I have the train left. So I wasn't sure where the train was exactly. So yeah, that's Satville. Next station on our train service was Urunga, and Urunga is a small town which is located in the mid-north coast of the New South Wales region in Australia, and it's famous for its surf spot. So they have reefs, beaches, and it also has a amount of two rivers. So it is in the it's in between Southall and Nambucca Heights, which is our next stop. So the place name is derived from the Gombayangir word Urunga, which means the word for Urung, which is the long white sands. So Urung basically means long white sands. Again, this platform is a small platform, so it was a short one. As we were approaching noon in the distance, we were about to collect our hot meal options for the train. So we had a choice of selection between roast chicken, roast beef, pasta, and some rice with vegetable options. And I personally went with a roast beef option. So it basically had a roast beef and some vegetables and a selection of bread with butter. To me, that makes a delicious and tasty meal. So that was lunch for me. Just as we were enjoying the delicious food on board from the buffet car, and that were served by our lovely crew, we passed the town of Nambucca Heights and Maxwell and Kempsey. So the train was now approaching the station of Wauchope. So Wauchope is a rural service center which is called the heart of Hastings. So it has a lot of national parks, state forests, and also it's an important timber town. So it's basically 374 kilometers north of Sydney on the Pacific Highway, and it's also 20 kilometers west of Port Macquarie, and it has an elevation of around 9 meters. So the origin of the name Wauchope was coined in 1836, which was almost 200 years ago. There was a captain by the name of Robert Andrew Wow, pronounced Wauch. So I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Wow. So it was basically Wauchope. He had a dispute going on in the family, so he dropped the ending OPE of his name. So his family purchased 760 acres on the Kings Creek, and he called the property Wauchope, and it was on this property that the town developed. So this has a lot of things to do. It has it has a heritage park, and also some villages and heritage railway, and there's one train ride which goes from the heritage railway. That's a steam rail. And I also heard that there also is a few zoos on the area, so which is very interesting. If you want to come and stop by, it will be very interesting. So yeah, that's about Wauchope. So this station that we are on currently is Wauchope. We still have a few stations to go and get to Sydney. And the time now is around noon, so it's around 1:30 when this service normally goes to Wauchope. The train was now arriving into a station called Kendall. So Kendall is a quiet village that's located off the Pacific Highway in the west of Camden Head, and it's like the southwest of Port Macquarie. And it's a hinterland town, which is on the way from Sydney to Brisbane. Kendall has a name from the famous Australian poet Henry Kendall, and he lived in the area from 1825 to 1881, and the town has a nickname of Poet's Village. So here we have few things to see and do. First thing is the Henry Kendall, the poet's statue, which was erected in the year 2007, in the memory of Henry Kendall. So the most famous of his poems was Bellbirds. shortly after we left Kendall, we have passed the stations of Kendall and Wingham, which I missed filming, and the next station that we are approaching now is Gloucester. So Gloucester is a gateway to a spectacular wilderness in wilderness and adventure. From it has everything that you can ask for, from bushwalks to ancient rainforest, and we can also kayak on the river, and they have also have some scenic campings and all that. So Gloucester was so personally Gloucester has a significance in my life. So the first ever train that I took on this route, I just came to this beautiful city of beautiful town of Gloucester, and I was stunned by the beauty of this town, and I was very impressed by this town. So it was a wonderful town, and I also had a lot of walks, and I also crossed the track in Australia. I just walked on the track in Australia for the first time in Gloucester, which is very difficult to do that. Do it in Werrestay, in Wollongong and all that. So speaking of what to do, we have a lot of waterfall and all, which I couldn't go to when I was there. But it says they have a lot of waterfall and a lot of national parks and everything. So Gloucester is also one of the options that you can try if you want to come and spend a day in Gloucester. So this station is Gloucester.
Oh yes.
Almost half an hour after we passed Gloucester, the next station that we are approaching was Dungog. So Dungog was is a town in which is north of Newcastle. So it's basically 74 kilometers north of Newcastle and 228 kilometers north of Sydney. And in the station we also have some other endeavours that's coming up from the Hunter line. So Dungog has a lot to offer if you want to visit the some dams such as Chichester Dam and some national parks, and it's also an ideal place for bushwalking, scenic drives and swimming, photography, horse riding, cycling, camping, trail bike riding and canoeing. So it's a very beautiful town in the Hunter region. That's Dungog. After Dungog, the following stations were Maitland and Broadmeadow. So Maitland and Broadmeadows are just the station that is close to Newcastle, and it can also be covered in Sydney trains, or so they normally have the S set or the V sets that's coming up to these two stations, and these are the stations that is just in front of Newcastle. And I guess Broadmeadow is almost like 50 kilometers out of Newcastle, which is the major town in New South Wales after Sydney, north of Sydney. So it's around 150 kilometers north of Sydney. As we left Broadmeadow, our hot dinner of the day was ready, and contrary to the lunch that I had on board, I went with the roast chicken option, and I also got some yogurt to have it. And after that, after the delicious meal, I just had a go to the loo, and just before that's the last thing I did. We are now approaching the station of Gosford. So Gosford is south of Newcastle and towards Sydney. So the interesting fact about Gosford is in 1825 convicts constituted the major part of Gosford's population, and they accounted for almost 50% of the population back in the day. And in the recent day, Gosford is an important town in between Newcastle and Sydney, and it has been identified as a growth corridor between the two major cities. We are now just a few more stations from Central, which is in Sydney, where I get off the train. So I just thought maybe I'll just have a look at what my experience taught me. So in this train, we started at 5 o'clock in the morning. That time was alright, but it was a bit too early, so I had to doze off to sleep in between, on and off. So it's alright. So looking at the prices for this service, so this train offers a lot of different services. The economic classes service from Brisbane to Central or to Sydney costs $93, and if you want to go on first class, as I did, it costs around $131.9, and it also has onboard buffet where you can buy food on board, and it has also a lot of amenities and friendly crew. Overall, I would recommend this trip to anyone who wants to consider that.